Hello and welcome to our show Midwest Weekly, the show that gives you all the breakdown of your fun and exciting games week in and week out. And sometimes, if you're lucky, we're about 2.5 weeks behind on the grand finals. And guess what? You, the fans, are lucky. So, me and CLT here are ready to provide you what you've been waiting for the last couple weeks. We do apologize about the delay. Our friend over here, CLT's had some issues with his internet, his power. Over the last week, it's been a mess. The cold weather starts really messing with things. And then, of course, I've been very busy with work myself. It's been a very busy week leading up into Christmas with the job I do. So him as well. I'm not discrediting CLT's job. He's also been busy as well. But the point is, there's been a
Very.
lot. There's been a lot of those kind of things going on. So we finally get to sit down and we get to talk some League of Legends. So with that said, I will ask my co-host CLT how he's feeling today.
We're pretty good today. Like you noted, had some internet troubles the last 3 to 4 days of it being just pretty inconsistent. I've actually played some ARAMs with some people around the server, so they can attest that it'll drop sometimes. But no, in the last couple weeks, work has been absolutely a nightmare to
Yeah,
deal with flights and everything. So
yeah, we both
yeah.
been doing it. The snow doesn't help us. We're living in the Midwest. The both of us, one of us in Ohio, one of us in the Illinois, Chicagoland area. So it's been pretty rough there. But with all that being said, we are here. I don't expect us to go as in depth as we usually do. We do apologize. We really just want to get this out there. So we're going to talk about the games, probably 10 minutes a game at most here, and then we're gonna finish up the episode. Also, thank you to everybody that took a part in All Stars. Do apologize. All Stars was at the end of the split. Maybe it wasn't as exciting for everybody because of it. It Thanksgiving really threw a kind of a wrench in everything going on. We thought we planned this accordingly. We messed up with Thanksgiving, but don't worry. At the end of the episode, we'll talk about a few things. If you watch, this will be good for you to listen in and catch kind of the stuff coming up for next year. So let's jump into game one here. Um, we have these two teams here. We had Instinct versus the. Say it for me, CLT.
Uh, uh, huh?
CLT does. He just never catches on. We have Instinct versus the 2025 Fall Sweat League champions, Femboy Jellyfish. I didn't get to
Oh,
do it on the call, so my bad, my bad. I missed out game five.
I wasn't gonna do it that much justice, so yeah. Okay. I would have completely ruined that.
No, you wouldn't have, brother. All right, so game one though. I mean, game one was a really exciting game. Uh, First off, hats off to Arctic man. This guy came in and he played his butt off. These first like about 3 games, especially here in game one and game two. I immediately am going to shout him out because this performance on this Orin was astoundingly good and a big part in why they won this first game. Good Boy had an exceptional game here with 33% of the team's damage. Kind of expected from him. Even if he's not popping off and performing at the highest level he's capable of, he still was having a nice little game. They had a nice comp set up here with the Oriana Nocturne combo. And then you had Eclipse and Don Don who showed up extremely well in the bot lane. And dare I say, this game one absolutely outplayed and outperformed Mac and Higgins there in the bot lane. Eureka to me was the shining light of this game one. I thought he played the best out of all 5 members on Femboy Jellyfish, but it was not enough to kind of get that first. No, I don't want to do that. That first victory here. So, CLT, do you kind of want to lead us off and talk a little bit about what happened here in this game one?
Game one, I honestly felt like it came down to a lot to deal with draft, and actually, draft I think is going to be a big topic throughout this whole series. But I think Instinct just drafted themselves a very simple and standard team comp to where there's no tricks. You don't have to play it like T1 or anything. It's just a nice standard simple comp. You have combos all over the place with Lucian Braum in the bot lane, Oriana, Nocturne. You have a big fat tank in front of you against double AP solo laners, so he has a value building quite a bit of MR. And yeah, I think they really came into this game one with a well executed plan. But I'll second the shout out to Arctic. I thought Arctic, if they got him behind, would have had a lot of trouble just weathering the storm with a Vlad or an Aurora until he got some MR underneath. But bro literally just showed up and bodied Noah in his game one,
Yeah,
and what I think some people would say is not necessarily a counter matchup, but this is a free scaling lane for Vladimir, and just instead it was a free scaling game for Arctic on this orange. So
yeah. I mean, even when you
it's
look at the early lane, like I think Noah wasn't expecting some of the damage, or maybe he just wasn't respecting what the Ornn could specifically do in the matchup. I mean, I couldn't say for sure, but that kind of seems what it looked like based on his kind of play in the lane. Um, and obviously, I know he took his hits, and he admitted, I think even after they won the series, that yeah, he kind of messed up here, definitely in this game one on the Vlad. But with that being said, like sometimes you just don't know for sure. You know, you think you're fine in a matchup. You think, okay, this is just like you said, free scaling, but you still gotta respect it. We all know what Ornn is capable of. He's the joke's always been he's the assassin tank, right? Um, and that idea is if he's able to hit you with multiple passives, it's kind of like playing in the GP actually. If he hits you with all his passives and he hits him well, he can pretty much one shot a lot of champs early on in the game. And Vlad is not a tanky champ. Even when he goes in a late game, I wouldn't consider him tanky. He just heals a lot, right? So um, some mistakes there. But yeah, that's kind of what you see from the first couple solo kills. Because I think that was what happened was two solo kills in the top lane, and then Arctic just kind of started running around the map, super tanky, hard to kill, and they never were able to chop him down once.
yep. Completely in agreement with all of that.
Yeah, and
And also,
if you look at that 6 minute and 50 second solo kill, or like maybe it was like 6:45, he literally just one shot the Vlad from full HP. Literally, it's the exemplary of assassin Ornn, man. I don't know, it's crazy.
I mean, to me, like Orin is the top lane version of like Oriana, where it's just depending how good you are at the champion, you can really get surprised by what the champion can just bring. He literally did just one shot him. But he's just really generic, really good into a lot of different champions, and just depending how proficient it is, you can get a lot out of that champion overall.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. I'm kind of jumping through a bit. Like I said, guys, we're not gonna go in depth as much, into the games. But I'm gonna dive a little bit here in kind of the middle of the game. They were at like the 25-minute mark. The game, 25, 26-minute mark. The game was tied up. We had two Drakes to two Drakes. The game was really close, and it came down to that Baron, bit of a Baron fight here. I want to say around the 26-minute mark. That like really turned the tide of this game because the one thing is it was a very closely contested game. Like there was no time that I remember going, or Femboy Jellyfish. I'm sorry, it was completely out of the game. But they're able to find like a nice team fight. To be exact on the timer here for you, COT 26:50 is when it starts. They get a pick out of the Wukong, and now it's like, okay, how do you walk in? Like, what is your game plan? And do we walk in? And if we can test, what is that going to look like? So I think they do try to contest, and it doesn't go well, if I remember correctly. But I feel like that was the true turning point in this game, which is what allowed them to then eventually snowball off and win the game.
Yep, 100%. With that, it's just also the Femboy Jellyfish comp. If it's behind, it's like turbo behind, and that's what I think kind of started to happen here.
Yeah, the only knock I think about Instinct in this game was like they did kind of waste this first Baron because I can't remember how long the game was. I think it was 30 minutes. They were kind of wasted it at first, and I was like, oh maybe they could stall it out. But with Vlad being dead for 30 seconds, it did become difficult to do so. But they kind of did that a couple times in the series, and I think it cost them games at a certain point. I know you want to get kills and you want to kill the guys, but sometimes chasing the kills is not good for tempo, right? I think this game they did not end up getting punished as hard for it. But we'll kind of discuss more in the next couple of games because I do remember it happening a couple times for sure. And I think it's that hype thing. I know for a fact it is because I've played and you've played 2 CLDs. Sometimes you get so hyped, you're like, oh, chase him, kill him, kill, 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 kill. Yeah, that's your mind, but it's like, just reset. You got Baron, you know? Reset, get back on the map, and utilize as much of the Baron as possible.
Yep.
Well, I also forgot we had that stupid glitch. That was the game one glitch.
Man, this last like week or two of the playoffs or the last rounds, man, Spectator has been failing us quite often.
Yes. But yeah, the game ends in pretty quick fashion after that Baron. They do attempt to try to fight it out, but they just was too much. They tried to mess with the Orin. You still see Arctic here. He's pretty much still half HP after they loaded so much into him. And then with Noah trying to defend the game there at the end, it's a Vlad versus the world. Good luck. Unless you're overly fed, you're pretty much not going to be able to do anything. So, but yeah, game one was really, really well played, and Instinct was able to pick that up. And that'll lead us off into game two, CLT. Game two, I think it's a similar discussion of game one. Arctic, again, just absolutely unbelievable here. So he picks up the Yorick here, and 36% of the team's damage, 41k in the game. It's insane. I understand sometimes top laners might be a little overloaded in damage stats, but he really wasn't. I mean, he was getting double kills, he was solo killing, he was doing pretty much anything he wanted majority of the game. Um, the real interesting wrinkle that I don't know if Femboys was expecting was this Zac pick, and I didn't love it. I still, looking back, don't love it, but I think it kind of messed with the game plan that Femboys had. Um, because they had to worry about now, like, okay, Zac can make plays. We can't just ignore this maybe jungle pick that might be something that's not as threatening, like a Pantheon, for example. Like if you have a Pantheon in this game, it's like, yeah, it's scary, but like, does he really want to jump into the middle of the team? I don't think he does. He can't really lead off a charge. And for meta picks, I thought that was a pretty interesting wrinkle, and certainly helped Femboys win. Good boy, another nice game. Warika though, he played well into him. Unfortunately, the problem was they put a lot of focus into shutting Warika down, and I think succeeded very well at that. And then to me, the only real threat in the game was basically this Camille and this Mel. But I just don't know what Mel does in this game. And, I mean, Camille can maybe blow somebody up, but like that's your best case scenario, and she kills one
She
target.
does nothing.
Yeah, basically, that's why I said that's your best case scenario. I don't think she does. So there really wasn't enough threats here, man. I think the draft was a part of why Instinct won for sure.
Yeah, I think it's it's really hard to find a bot lane that meshes really well with what's shown topside and Camille, Zhao, Silas. I mean, especially if you want to play like an enchanter, which I know um, of the two supports, Higgins is obviously the one not known for the enchanter play, even though he did bust one out in this series. But it's just everybody goes forward, and Mel really doesn't like being paired with champions that go like super forward. Um, so there was a lot of times she got left out to dry, and then she's also an immobile mage, so Zac and Bard can easily pick on her, especially if she's flashless in
Yeah.
uh, in some of these skirmishes, which I think we did see a lot of that going on. Don on the Bard here was playmaking all
Oh,
over this map.
I totally forgot this was the funny game too. I forgot this was the Camille TP play. I just got reminded of that. Yeah, this was
Yeah.
another wrinkle about this game. This might have been one of the most sloppy games of the whole series, because for as good as Arctic was playing, he also had a couple flubs. The execution after the Camille trying to TP on his own turret and just getting killed because of it. Um, they both were having some monkey moments, and there might have been another one in this game too. Uh, it was definitely an experience. If anyone is familiar with Six Pack, I thought that's what Noah was trying to do was show off his Six Pack gameplay. But yeah, man, I agree with you on kind of what you're saying. I think the Mel, she's an interesting champ because
Great in lane.
she's really dominant in a lot of lanes, even in the mid lane, obviously as well. But she seems like a champion that wouldn't mind playing forward, but she really doesn't. Like she's so much better front to back, and just having that front line kind of set up things so she can do her damage without being concerned. So if you're jumping into her, she's happy. Um, I almost
Yep.
wonder, and this is kind of an interesting take, but I almost wonder if you go Mel mid and just pick an 80 carry that kind of loves that same style, like maybe like the Jinx or something, and you defend both of them and say, okay, one of them pop off. Um, that's just a thought. I don't know if that matters that much, but that'd be my only take on the Mel pick, really. Otherwise, I think it did its job. Like Max certainly got ahead. I think he was a pretty smart pick into Sivir. Um, so I was not like a hater of the pick. It's how you draft around it. But
Yeah, I just, I don't know. It's like all four people want to just dive in, and Mel's just kind of left alone, so the fights were really scattered for her. And then you're diving into like Zac, Sivir, Azir, with Bard on the other side of it, so it's you draft all dive, and it's not that Instinct has counter dive, but they definitely have champions that can react pretty well into it.
yeah, agreed. I do agree with that. But kind of jumping ahead a little bit in this game and um, kind of seeing a little bit more what happened. I'll let you kind of discuss more as well, CLT, what you kind of remember. Um, but yeah, this game was definitely really, really close, even going towards that 20-minute mark. But I'll let you kind of take over and discuss a little bit more what you recall about the game.
I mean, I do recall after now catching up to this game a little bit, Femboy Jellyfish had a really quality like laning phase, and their skirmishing in the early game wasn't bad outside of a couple of fights with Arctic up top. I mean, Arctic was really the catalyst of keeping Instinct into this game until they scaled up. But once they scaled up, then diving, like I said, into the Azir, into the Sivir just became way harder and way more difficult. But Don Don still, again, I'm gonna sing his praise quite a bit this series. But this Bard game definitely was really good.
Yeah, I love the Bard pick for out of lane phase. I think we discussed it with Nexus. He even agreed, as he is like the uh, currently one of the bigger Bard players. I think Mark GD when he plays, he's up there with as one of those guys that really likes the champ. Um, yeah, like it loses hard in lane to Nautilus pick. Like you're not gonna have a lot of fun in lane. But once you get out of lane, and once you get to play the map as well as play the team fights, like Bard is so happy. Anytime you full send on a target, and that was the one part where you kind of mentioned Camille being useless. If Camille just full sends on somebody with the Nautilus pickup, you just blow all your abilities on now what's going to be a Temper Fate uh, player, right? They're just going to get the ulti from Bard, and you just do nothing. It's like a free Zanya's. So he's really great for that anti-engage setup. Um, but with that said, I mean, they did fight back well. This game was on a knife's edge at a couple times where I thought like, oh, maybe Femboys are gonna pull this one out. We're gonna be tied. Some mistakes. I mean, if you go back to that 19-minute one, that's where Good Boy missed the shuffle there with the Emperor's Divide. That could have been like huge, but then Arctic's like, no, 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 no. Let me just kill everybody. So there's a lot of game-saving moments on both sides, which slowed the process a bit.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, we see Femboy's got the first three dragons, and then Instinct really started to take control of the map and get the next three. And actually, I don't think Soul was ever taken
Yeah, I don't even know if they got the
in this
next
game.
three per se. They might have got one more because there's a play I just kind of scrolled to it. And I kind of forgot about it. But so if you go around like 20, if you go like 27 and a half minutes, they kill the Nautilus And then they make an interesting call, and this was the one that I thought was really, really good. It was a really sneaky call. They decided to two-man the Baron with Eclipse and Zac. Um, and like they were none the wiser. Like I don't think they really thought they were doing that. Um, and they're able to just kind of steal that away. Now there is some more fighting before I think the two-man Baron, because they're able to pick off the Jinzao after the Nautilus. But like they see all these people, so they don't realize what is happening. Um, and I think there's a possibility they can possibly contest the objective if they do, but they just kind of get pushed away. And then there's TP on Rika. Noah's TP wasn't up yet, but Mac also had his TP, and there was a ward to get close to the pit, but they just didn't know. They had no information. They were busy trying to mess with Good Boy and Arctic in the mid lane, and they're like, no, 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 you can mess with us, but we're just gonna take the Baron. And I think it's plays like that can be certainly championship defining, like moments wise. So I thought that was really really smart decision, but it also could also been costly if they caught on. So uh, well executed there.
Yeah, yeah, this was that was really really smart there. And I thought no or Arctic did a good job, even though it did kind of cost him his life being able to stall out and defend there, almost kind of showing that the other guy's backed. But then after that Baron play, you seen the Tempered Fate come out and catch Angel Boy. That was part of the driving force to get to the second dragon and start turning this game around for him.
Yeah,
Ty Gold grasped at 31 minutes.
it was, and we started 24-24, and then like 32 minutes where we get the last fight of the game, and I feel like it was a bit of a weird play because funny enough, the game ended similarly as game one ended. Bot side of the map ended up being a push, a bit of a catch out on a couple players on Femboy side, and I was like, well, what are we doing? We learned nothing from game one. We're just repeating it, um, and there was always potential it ends up working out, but that stun there by Don Don kept the Jinzao in play. They're able to take down the Jinzao as well, and it ends up being an ace to where obviously the game is now just over with those grubs. Um, so it was certainly an interesting end of the game, but I do think that Baron was very impactful and kind of caught Femboys off guard and what allowed them to keep the game where they wanted it. Like you said, nice temper fate, allowing to get that Drake. But I think it all comes off the back of that Baron.
Yep.
So now this is where it gets fun, right? Because we get we never had a reverse sweep, 5 game series reverse sweep in this league ever. Now we haven't had a lot of 5 game series to be fair, but the ones we've had, it never happened. And lo and behold, Femboy Jellyfish does it once, and they decide, well, we're just gonna do it again, and this is where it starts. So, uh, game game three here, and here's the sad part about game three. I actually think Arctic was playing really really well in this top lane matchup early on, and he messed up a dive that if he does that perfectly, I feel like it takes so much out of the sales of Femboys. Because what I've learned from understanding of this Femboys roster, current roster, was that Noah was kind of becoming like the heart and soul of the team. Like he kind of like kept the energy up, kept everyone poised. So when he was struggling, it's like, okay, he's struggling. You're taking that heart and soul out of the team. It's up to now just like the rest of the team to just perform really well and keep their poise. And it seemed like they didn't have it. But man, when he just like kept his focus up and was like, all right, I'm not doing as well this game either. But like, oh, here's something. They just gave me a little hope with that bit of a mistake, and it was just like, dang. And then also that game kind of flipped. But to me, the biggest star of this show was certainly going to be mid lane AD carry. I thought Rika and Mac just performed unbelievably well, and Higgins made sure that they did not die. This Janna pick was an interesting pick, but man, did he pull it off. That insect play will definitely go down in infamy as an interesting one to see from a Janna. Um, and then lastly, my only other thing to take on draft here and gameplay would be Lilia. It just never felt good when I saw it. It did get an unofficial pentakill, but it did not matter, man. The champion just isn't strong right now. We'll see what next season looks like, but all I gotta say is stay away from that pick until it becomes legitimately good again. That's just my feeling about the pick.
I I do agree with you to a point. Um, I don't have as big of a red flag on Lilia as you do, but I respect you as being the jungler here in that regard. I don't like Instinct's draft at all. I remember kind of looking back at this, and I'm like, I've seen Lilia be able to work in some champions that can't chase her, but at the end of the day, there was a lot of point and click, even when it came down to like the Cassante ult. But Rise had a lot of CC. Janna was definitely the big wild card, and I think that was what went from a good draft to a great draft for Femboys Jellyfish. But Instinct, it at the end of the day, they don't have enough damage in my opinion. Like I think Rise completely out tanks and outscales Talia. Um, there's enough CC to trap the Lilia when she tries to get through the true damage, and Ezreal has to play like super super Chinese to get off any type of damage here.
Yeah,
And I don't think Ezreal's like it's not bringing what say like a Jinx or I mean we've seen Vayne pop off a little bit in this league or just any other like crit based AD carry is what I think you need here.
yeah. So I actually think that the I agree a bit with what you're saying. The take on Talia is a little misplaced just because yeah, she doesn't like completely one shot Rise, but we've already seen Talia and Rise enough over the course of not only our league, but we can go back to Worlds. The Talia and Rise is perfectly fine. The issue lies in the rest of the picks around it, and I agree with the Ezreal and the Lilia is again a big oddball red flag sticking out. Um, you need some sort of like not per se front line, but something bruiser like I think in this game for jungle. Ezreal can stay if you get that. Otherwise, if you really are committed to running this Lilia pick, you need to just take something like I'm gonna be honest. This might sound crazy. Just take something like Jinx. Just take something like Yunara. Just give me something with the what you're kind of talking about, that crit, that damage, and I think Talia is just fine with that because you get enough burst down to where you could probably one shot someone like Kaisa Jenner or the Rise at that point if that's your focus, and maybe get resets if you're the Jinx. You kind of get where I'm going with this, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, I think Talia is fine, and it's a good point, Jeb. I'm not bothered by Talia at all. I like the Rel a lot. It's a good Don pick. It's going to be good into the shield breaks that they're going to need this game because of Janna as well as Rise building Seraphs. Um, and then a great frontline pick, which I also top lane like. Besides being a frontline champ, the Poppy counters Cassante, so it's a great pick there. So their draft is just not bad. It's just you gotta choose one or the other. You can't have Ezreal and Lilia in this game. You just can't. You gotta pick one or the
I
other.
tend to, yeah, I agree. Like, there's a lot of like, I guess the best way I can phrase it is like multiplier champs where they're more like win more or they just draw a line in the sand and there's nothing to create. There's like nothing to start the play or create the play off of that. You know, I could even argue that even if you brought like a bruiser top lane or even something that scales with the Rise, like I'm thinking if you want to go early game Darius, if you want to go late game more Kale, and just let the game come to her, and then then you have the Talia and Ezreal to supplement like additional damage. But at least you have a catalyst in your team comp to play around.
Yeah,
Here, there's nothing to play around.
100% agreed there. With that said, kind of going more into the game itself, I do think this game was still relatively close. We can kind of talk a little bit about the unofficial pentakill because I think that was a bit of a turning tides play. Um, but I think it's more turning tides for Femboys than it is um, for Instinct. And here's my breakdown of this. So we'll go back to kind of the start of the clip. Uh, yeah, the Lilia gets all this gold, but because Lilia is not like the champion I'm looking at, it's like okay, she can carry the game. I kind of look at who got the gold on the other side, and Kaisa and Rise got a lot of the gold pickups here on the plays, and made them stronger. Whereas Ezreal, I don't even know if he got anything. He got nothing off this for sure because it was an unofficial pencil, right? And then Good Boy gets nothing. So your two main carries don't end up getting any of the kill gold credit. They just get assists, which matter but don't. And if you look at the DPS Eclipse was able to do in this fight, I can only imagine if he's able to get some of this gold that the game might just be in a better spot. Um, and like I said, Kaisa got like 3 kills or 2 or 3 kills in the play. I all of a sudden now Mac is absolutely huge. If he wasn't in a good spot before, now he's coming back way stronger. So to me, the play just doesn't matter. Like in the scheme of things, for instinct, unless you get a clean wipe. If like they just like or they 5 for 1 or something. So I think the turning point of this play is it favors femboys. Um, I don't know if you disagree on that, but it's kind of what I feel.
No, I 100% agree, but it also goes back to like what I was kind of getting at before, where like if the Lilia gets the gold, that kind of sucks. But then who else uses the gold as well? Like if you give it to Talia, all right, cool, but she's kind of building more of a, I don't want to say utility. That's not the right word, but you're definitely low on the AP numbers when you're going
That
the
build.
Seraphs and the Rylai's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
No,
a
I think for
very
your
like lower
Ezreal,
damage
if you
build.
want your easy to get the gold 100%. If I'm going to tell you this right
Yeah,
now, if the Ezreal is the one getting that pentakill, the game's over. I'm as long as Eclipse doesn't like troll, the game is over. There's no doubt in my mind. Like that's the person you want to have the damage there. And again, the other side of it is if Lilia does get the gold, then again make it a situation. It's a 4 for 1 or something, not a 5 for 4. I mean that result of it can never feel good if you're this team, in my opinion. Like you're in your head you're happy because you're like, yeah, let's go, But if you really look at the scheme of things, that's not the result you want. So after that, the game stayed tight for a bit. I know that for a fact. It was definitely one of those tightly contested games. Um, Drakes were pretty close. I don't even remember exactly when this game like kind of completely ended. Was it the Baron fight? I think it was the Baron fight. So based on the gold, it's a 50k to 49. So it is the Baron fight at 27 and about half minutes. They end up getting Drake. They get the soul point, and I feel like if they just don't look for this aggressive play, you could be happy for it because it does look kind of good initially. Don Don gets a beautiful engage, but they just can't kill this Cassante quick enough. And, Arctic was dead before the play even started. I just, if you look back at this game, besides the play with the Lilia getting the unofficial penalty, which just feels bad, that you might be able to play through if this specific play doesn't happen. Just give the Baron, even though Barons, yes, we're really deciding in this series. If you just give the Baron, have Soul Point, and just wave clear with what is not bad wave clear with Ezreal Talia, it's not horrible, and just don't lose too much. Like, and yeah, the gold is gonna balloon. They're gonna get a couple 2, 3, 4k lead on you, but at the time it was 50k to 49k. You gave them more gold by fighting and losing, and now you're down 4K. I just feel like that was kind of the game clinching play of just a little too hyphy on the Baron. Sometimes you just have to know when to sacrifice it. If you're calling Drake, man, and you want the soul point, then that should be the call right there. So any takes on that there, Mr. CLT?
no, you covered everything. Sorry, I got distracted
It's
out
okay.
here, but no, you covered all of it. I 100% am with you.
Thing I was hoping CLT would have like maybe some counter arguments. Just like, no, dude, you're perfect. I agree 100% with what you're saying. You're just a genius. Like, damn, CLT, like, don't give me so much credit.
No,
No, I know.
I just
I'm just messing with you.
I just don't like. I don't see where even you talked about the Ezreal point of getting all that gold. I do see that, and I think Ezreal is your option for that. But at the end of the day, like Noah got ahead enough and then Don Don is just going to get ulted from Trundle because he's the only one building some tank stats, and
Yeah.
it just ends up going downhill.
Can
It's
we
just nothing.
can we also note that 3 games in this series, and I don't know if I noted on stream, but 3 games in this series ended around the same time, pretty much off a Baron, and the same spot on the map.
Hmm.
Bot side push, man. Bot side push. I don't know what was going on with bot side pushes. But yeah, we'll jump into game 4. So this was the last game I was a part of, and Clt will have to lead off game 5. But yeah, I mean, the Zaheen coming in, getting locked in here by Noah, and this was the Noah performance that just shook Instinct to their core. I think because man, he absolutely went off. 100% the MVP of this game. If you're looking like a guy that was like MVP of a game, this was it. This was his one solitary specific performance that shifted this series completely at that point. Because yeah, game 3 sucked, felt bad, but this was a 27-minute loss. This takes the wind out of your sails after you're up 2-1. You've had 2 really good games, a close third game. Yeah, this game 4 definitely wasn't that. Uh, the rest of the team here for Femboys, did their job. Terrace had a very quiet series, but did excellent at what his job was all series. And then once again here playing the Vi, had some really nice engages with that. I love the synergy idea with the Lissandra. Though looking back at it, this might have been Marika's quietest of his entire series. I don't know if Lissandra truly was the pick. It ended up working out because I do think it's nice into the Ari as far as locking her up. Um, and then Higgins and Mac, man, like Jinx plus Jinx plus um, God, my brain sometimes lags. Pike was really really interesting, but they made it work. They made it work, and they played pretty well. Higgins had a couple crazy hooks, man. I was like, holy moly! Went off like a flash on Don Don or some topside. Maybe I'll find the clip for you guys. As far as Instincts draft, I'm not really a big hater on any particular pick. I see the idea there with the draft. Maybe just maybe just don't. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I like Tarek with Ivern. Looking back, I think that's the only thing. Like, flip flop one of those champions, and I'm happy with it. So, but what is your kind of take on the game here, CLT?
Um, I'm actually okay with the draft from Instinct side. I just think they needed to weather the storm and um just not lose the laning phases as hard. Um, I do think what Femboy Jellyfish did during this early game set themselves up in really good position, and I think it was on the back of mainly Higgins, but also Terrace on this Vi pick. Obviously, this is something we all know he plays quite a bit. I think at one point even OTP'd it. Um, because he was drawing a boatload of Vi bands. But yeah, I mean, this is a draft where you're trying to weather the storm, and I thought they set this up to be very well, but they just didn't. They didn't execute the early game that well, and I think I think the thing about the Tarek pick is he just can't roam and respond to the pressure that Pike ends up putting out. So he's just kind of sitting there with Eclipse, and I mean he can zone off Mac a little bit, uh, but it's just not enough to stop the Jinx from being able to just solo lane bot lane while Higgins is causing hell around this whole map.
Yeah, agreed. And um, Noah, like, I did not expect the champion, like the Zaheen champion, to be as strong as it was. He made it look so good, and like you said, like lanes were kind of important. Once that Aatrox got so far behind, it was so hard to play. I think I want to say Zaheen behind isn't as bad because he really is just like kind of that mid late game champion. Like he really scales really well. But Aatrox behind, even though he scales well, the problem is it takes time to scale. Like he's not just a champion. I don't know. It's just like 3 item Aatrox is scary, and if you can't get to that 3 item Aatrox, man, Good luck. Yeah, I don't know. It's a really interesting matchup. I'd like to see it some more though. I want to see what champions really better in the matchup. But yeah, I mean that was the biggest point of for the series for me. It was this, or not series, but game was the Zaheen becoming a monster, pretty much unkillable, and then you had, like you said, these lanes not going well. But really, I think I think the bot lane went pretty decent. Like I think Eclipse and Don were performing well in the 2v2 itself. It was just out of lane that there was a lot of struggles. So, and like you said, they needed to stall this game out, and they just never could.
Yeah, I just their team comp is too slow. I'd probably say if you had an issue with either the Ivern or the Taric, I think it's get rid of the Ivern just because you want something aggressive to pair up with the Ari, and at least now you have a catalyst of having some type of a playmaker on your side of the map. But no, this was Femboy Jellyfish, especially in this early laning phase. Watching this team, they
Yeah,
did a lot of right things. Rikers had a lot of really good rooms top side after Noah would end up winning a trade, and um, overall, it was a really solid game. This definitely looked like the most Femboy Jellyfish game
yeah,
that we had been seeing all there, and also Noah with the kind of like let me remind you who I am.
yeah.
This is Zaheen.
And really, the game flipped. If there was like a flip moment, it was this Drake fight before the Drake release, around 17 minutes, like 16:50 it starts or so. That was kind of when the game started to turn. You saw what the fight looks like with the Targ ulti. If they're able to stall that out, like you're just in a bad way. Like if they don't use the Vi ulti, if they don't use the Lissandra ulti to engage on top of the Targ ulti, good. Yeah, it's hard to play. And they played that really well. Yeah, they picked off the Pike to start the fight, but once the rest of the team got in there, once Shaheen was able to isolate a target, and then Vi had her job to isolate a target, she isolated the Ari while he isolated the AD. I mean, it's just like, okay, how do you play? And Lissandra's just there to make sure to clean up anything with the Jinx. So it's definitely one of those games, man. Like you said, you got to get to this later part of the game where you just really are forced to fight, where you can kind of see everybody. Everybody's just looking at each other. That's exactly what Instincts Comp wanted. If they don't get that, it's hard, man. It's hard, and the other team they don't want that, right? So they're gonna play flanks. They're gonna play these weird situations, and split you up, and force the Tark ulti out maybe in not the best times. So once that happened, the game started to flip on its head, and I'll kind of show you guys the end of the game here, and we could jump into game five. I also do apologize. I clicked the wrong button like usual and messed up the darn recording, but you guys can just live with Jake's mistakes. That's what I'm gonna say. Hate me if you guys want. It's okay. I'm used to being hated. But yeah.
Oh no,
He said now. He's like, it's okay, lost puppy. Don't you cry.
I'm not getting in this.
All right, I'm trying to get to the end here. It's only like 27 minutes, so looks like, yeah. I think it starts off with that pick on the Zaya, and then like it just game kind of implodes. So while we're letting this play through, CLT, you want to kind of walk us through Game Five a little bit, and then I'll pull up the stats here in a second.
Yeah, game 5 was just interesting overall. I felt like Instinct just started to, for lack of a better words, like run out of picks. Um, looking at the draft, they have an okay comp, but they really just don't have enough damage to get through something like this Mundo,
Yeah,
and that's what I felt like really did them in this part of the draft was kind of similar to oh shit, what was it, game 2? No, game 3, with the Talia, Lilia, Poppy, all of that getting happening, where there was just no damage to really get through the Cassante. It felt like it was the same concept here. So I don't mind the Ziggs. I don't mind the Ash. I felt like the Noah pick blinding this Gragas was kind of the thing that made this draft unwinnable for Instinct because there's nothing you can really do. I mean, with the three melees coming at you up top, yeah, there's something like Garen, Darius. If you try to play the skill game with like Kale, and I'm sorry, running out of top laners that survived fearless at the time. Those type of options. Gragas can still easily lean into those champions just because of just the way that champion is made. It's so freaking annoying to play it too.
Yeah, 100%. And
But
just so you're aware, it sounds like your internet might be messing with you a little bit. You might be
it's not surprising.
yeah, it's okay, it's okay. But yeah, so CLT kind of gave us a bit of a breakdown here. I'll kind of take over while he checks his stuff out. Hopefully the internet doesn't go out right before we end this episode. We're so close. But um, but yeah, I noticed here the Mundo game 5. Terrace, I love it. Honestly, I think it's we've seen what Mundo does in game 5s, and that's where he kind of thrives. I think in this what was this current meta this year. Towards the end of end of the season, he was a game 5 monster and fearless as a jungle pickup. Rarika getting his Yone, something he plays extremely well and having an unbelievable performance here in game 5. And then Mac finally getting his Smolder. I know he told me, he's like, I just wanted to play Smolder because I wanted the skin. So that's what he ended up doing there. So he was basically it was the game or it was skin or bust at this point. Basically, he's like, even if Smolder's not my best champ, we're sending it. And yeah, I think he played it pretty well. I think he played it pretty well. Um, as far as instincts comp, I agree that there were some difficulties with champ pool. I think everybody relatively got a champ they play on instincts side, but I do think some of the picks would have been better around like there were some other picks they had in their pools that might have worked better with some of the champs that were in this game. Like Ziggs might have been happier with something else. I'm also curious, where was J4 this whole series? Like I'm astounded J4 wasn't picked. I don't think it was banned every time. I gotta double check that, but that's an Avalon champ too. So I'm really intrigued why I never made it through. Um,
J4 was banned in this game 5.
was banned in this game 5, but was it banned all series would be the question.
Negative.
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 I
The only ban was
imagine
game 5, yeah.
game 3. Maybe that's the pick. I'm just putting it out there. But yeah, I'm okay with the Maokai. It's a fine overall champion. I don't really love it here into stuff like Maokai Gragas though, because I think those I mean not Maokai Gragas. Uh, Gragas plus the Mundo is what I meant. I don't love it into those really. In totality, it's a good champ. Is really what my point was. Um, so yeah, and I don't really know what the Tom Kench does when there's a Blitzcrank in the game. I'm not really sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, I thought there was a couple of different options on the table here. Quay not having any prio from either mid lane deeper into the series was interesting. I think he can stand his ground. Maybe not as good as Ziggs, but he has a lot more tools to him, especially into Yone if you're spacing it correctly, which is what Good Boy is known for, especially on his mage play. Um, he's very good at the Hui, and he even popped off on it earlier in the playoffs. But I hate Maokai. Like you have a little bit of a very strong opinion about Lilia. I almost echo that opinion, but with Maokai, I don't think Maokai jungle is
No, it's
just
it's it's not
any
as
good.
strong as it used to be by no means. I mean, I'm fine with the pick existing. It's just in game 5 is where Maokai would be fine with me. I think that's where it's okay. I just don't like it as a game 1 or game 2 pickup. But realistically, at the end of the day, you kind of said it best. I think when we talked after this game 5, because I asked you, I know what happened. You're like, honestly, it was just the biggest thing was it felt like a draft diff, and I do kind of look at the draft and it does feel that way across the board. There could have been better picks in almost every role on Instinct side. Um, but this is kind of what happens, and I think for as great as Instinct is, because they are such a good team, back-to-back splits, their pull and Game 5 prowess has kind of come into question, and that's why, frankly, I hope they definitely do come back because I want to see that redemption arc. I think it's still in there. I think they can certainly still win. They're still such a great team. So if you guys are watching this at all, I really hope you guys do return and don't give up. Don't give up on things. Hopefully life doesn't affect things too much. But at the end of the day, really, what it comes down to is hats off here to Femboys because they were able to pull it out um, after being down 2-0 twice in this playoffs, and they earned it. There's no question that they earned it. Um, I I will ask one question: is what kind of happened? Like, was there a turning point you remember that I can go towards in this game? Because I just went to 21 minutes. It's still 35K to 35K.
Rurika is kind of what happened a lot in these team fights. He put so much pressure on the back line, and he had a lot of really good ults that stood out that became difficult for Instinct to navigate, and then that also ended up coming to Mac hitting stacks, and Higgins was being kind of a nightmare. I think like the first 5 minutes that Spectator was panning bot, Higgins landed every single hook. It was actually kind of crazy.
That's crazy. I went to the
Um,
23.5 minute mark, and we're like just messing around mid lane. Eureka, I think, was hitting the Drake, and this looks to be the nail in the coffin. Though right after that, we get a fight out, breaking out in the mid, and a bit of a NAA ram to end it all. Kind of sounds poetic for our region, um, because that looks to be your turning point. Because after that, they're up about 4K. They have that Drake advantage, and then we'll kind of scroll to the end here as the game ballooned in about 6K gold. Uh, Baron hadn't even been taken here at the 27-minute mark. 28 still hadn't taken it. So did they win on a fight at Baron? Is that what happened? Or did they get the Baron and then push? Because I saw this was a 30-minute game. So I'm going to leave it here at like 29.5 minutes. It looks like it just ends up being a Baron fight. Oh, we're paused. Why are we paused? Did you guys hit the pause there? Did you
was
guys?
this around 30 minutes? I think we had the Spectator client crash again, and I
Yeah.
had to go back and catch the ending of it.
Okay. Well, they
Sorry, it's
were.
been so long.
No, it's okay. So they were able to get Baron. I'm gonna assume there was some sort of pick here onto Arctic at some point, and then with the Baron, they just started pushing down and kind of walking at them. And good luck if you're Ash trying to do much. Nice little flash there by Rurika, and that's gonna be GG, and that's how they become your 2025 Fall Sweat League champions. An org now that has 3 titles in totality when you consider Sad Jellyfish having their one championship, and then Femboys winning last split. So now as a combined org, they would have 3. Um, and Mac doing what only Bori has been able to do in the current era, winning back-to-back titles as possibly the best AD carry in the league. I would argue at this point he just is. And knowing pulling off the sub feat, which is pretty crazy, coming in as a sub twice and winning. And Narika finally getting that title. And mind you, this is it's a cool thing as well. Rika is now the first player to not only have won a title in the mid lane, right, but also won a Finals MVP and an MVP. Now, not all in the same season, all right. He won his MVP a couple splits ago, yeah, maybe 2024 spring or something like that.
Yeah.
But he's now accomplished that goal. So it's a cool little history thing for all of us to know. And maybe meaningless, but I always like stats. They're really cool. But yeah, that's it. That's your finals. Um, what's kind of coming up if you guys are wondering? That's why I would say if you guys stay to the end of the episode, we'll kind of have some information. So we had a mod meeting today. Went well. We are looking at January 25th to be the start of Sweat League. We are also planning out the schedule for the whole year and pretty much have that planned out. Rec League around, I think it was April like 18th or something like that would be the start of Rec League. I won't get too much into what the rest of the year looks like for now because we're probably just going to post the full schedule somewhere. Maybe we'll make a new channel for that. So that's coming. Uh, we do plan on probably running two rec leagues as well. We had a lot of discussion on that. So that is heavily on the table. Might be running Sweat Summer with rec league pretty much almost at the exact same time. So you might get back-to-back rec leagues. So for all those people that are rec league fans, I don't know if anybody watches these. Probably not, but I'm just putting that out there as well. Um, Besides that, if you're wondering when signups should open, I would assume signups will open around the end of the year, probably the first week of January, maybe the end of December, like that first week, or not first week, last week, I should say. So signups should be coming soon. We have one more mod meeting planned to kind of nail all that out. And if you're watching this, also we are going to be looking for some new mods. So we'll make a post about that. But if you're interested, feel free to hit any of the mods up. And myself, CLT, Rusty, um, Havoc, or Minus. Mage is pretty busy, so don't bother that man, but bother us. Um, that's pretty much it. I don't think I can think of anything else that's important. CLT, you got anything?
Um, n- no, you kind of covered a lot of it. I think I've had a lot of people PM me about Rec League, so really glad to see that we can do two splits on that. I did have a lot of people reaching out to help me with Rec League, as everybody kind of knew or seen that I was doing it on my own. I wanted to give the mod team a much needed break. So kind of seconding what Hairwick over here said. If you guys are interested in joining the mods or just looking to chip in, specifically for Rec League, but Sweat as well, please let us know. We'll see what we can work out. I think as taxing as this year was, we have a lot of really good ideas getting kicked around for next year, and if we can do half of these ideas, then I think it's going to be really big changes, really big things
Yeah,
for the server.
I agree. And here's one big thing to note on the whole thing with helping Rec League. Me and CLT have discussed a lot, and I think the most important thing to us is trying not to break up the band here. So if you are interested in helping in Rec League, something we are talking about is maybe having some new people to run the Rec League version of Midwest Weekly. So if you and maybe a friend of yours would be interested in that and want to reach out to us, that's great. I know Nexus is going to be watching this. I know he might be interested, so maybe he can grab somebody. I mean, these are all talks, nothing for sure, but otherwise, me and CLT might have to split off because it's impossible to expect us to continue to basically just run back to back to back to back leagues constantly without energy. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Rec League, Rec League probably is partly what ended up tiring this man out because he went sweat, rec, sweat, and then I've done something similar in 2024, and I'm telling you that is not fun. So I think looking at all kind of the way things would run, we would hope me and him can continue to do Sweat League Midwest Weekly together, which means we're basically not going to be the main heads of Rec League, but we'll still be around, of course. So that's kind of what we're looking for. If not, then it is what it is. But yeah, if you're somebody from Rec League or even from Sweat that's interested in helping with anything, reaching out, letting us know, and we'll go from there. So, thank you all again. Thank you for being patient with us. We are sorry this episode is so late. I wouldn't be surprised if 10 people watch this. And if you are part of
Uh,
that 10, or maybe it ends up being 30 or 40, I'm not coming at people. I just know, like, it's the end of the year. Like, everyone's like, whatever. We already saw finals. It's kind of expected. I'd be like that if I were in your place. Like, I would be worried about it. But if we watch it, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. We appreciate all the love you guys give us. We thank you for a fun, exciting 2025, and we're looking forward to 2026 being bigger and better than ever. So, thank you all again. CLT, any final words?
no, you covered everything I was going to say. Much love and appreciation to all the people that helped us out. Big personal shout out to War Initiate and Nexus for just really covering, and lack of
Archives
a better
too.
word, saving. our prize as well, saving our asses when it comes to the casting. I know War has been goaded with just last minute, hey, can you catch this casting? Our prize is always good to communicate either yes or no, he can't have it. Nexus is the goat on helping us content create, and yeah, if you guys want to help out with that, please let us know. It would be greatly appreciated, and we can definitely help and reciprocate on our end a little bit better now. But yeah, what a year, man!
Indeed, what a year.
What a year.
So
So
that'll be it.
for those people listening on their Christmas travels, travel safe.
Yes.
Hopefully we didn't bore you
Yeah,
on
and
this episode, but
you know
yeah.
what? Here's one last shout out, and this is just me and CLT. CLT, this has now been officially our fourth season of running the Midwest Weekly. If you want to get technical, it'd be the fifth because there was the rec league as well. We've done this
Hmm.
now for over a year, and that is, I am, I am so happy we were able to get over a year's worth of episodes out there. Never knew this would last this fucking long, and I just think it's freaking awesome. So let's go for fucking 2 years in a row, buddy. Let's knock this shit out, and let's be the best recap show on YouTube for Amateur League of Legends. That is what my goal is. I want to be the best at it. So thank you all so much. Thank you, COT. I love you, brother. We will see you guys in 2026. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Peace.